It's KP&AC, our takes is like crazy. Hot takes on the daily, we might take your lady. This flow goes bananas, bananas got boatloads. Big time, we go, hard like this promo.
Hey, KP&AC Media, we back. Been a couple weeks, gonna update the folks with some NBA news today. AC, how you feeling?
All right, man. What's up with these playoffs, bro? Got me all jacked up.
Man, weird. We got the sweep, got the brooms out tonight with the
Yep.
Suns. They're playing well. They hot. They
Yeah,
hot.
Booker, CP3. I just nuts. Thought that series was gonna be so much closer, bro.
Yeah, I think that Booker is a true superstar, man. He really is. That guy's a superstar.
He's getting there, bro. It's nuts. He's good.
You know who he reminds me of? And I was just thinking about this the other day randomly. And it's just the way he gets his own shot and just like how smooth under control he is Kyrie. He's a little like Kyrie to me.
All right.
Like a two
Yeah,
guard. Like a two guard. Like
a two guard
he
Kyrie.
yeah, two guard Kyrie. He's smaller than everybody. He's not the most athletic, but he always gets to his spots and just his shot is just money. Just
It's
money.
pure. There's a lot of just pure shooters in the NBA right now, man.
Yeah,
These
these
dudes can
guys are
shoot.
real.
They can blaze.
And I've never been the biggest fan of Chris Paul, man, but that Joker can hoop, man. I can't really take away anything from him. He's a leader. He just on the court, his antics and stuff. I've never been a fan of, but when
Right.
it
Well,
comes time to play, he can ball, man.
he's small, man. Those guys they resort to
Yeah,
those little like ticky tack shit, and that series is cool for me because like I think he took that Joker MVP personal. You know what I mean? Like Jokic got almost all the votes. Chris Paul ends up with like one or two. I forgot. It might have been one first place vote, and I think he was just like, "No, man," you know. And LeBron's
I
been there a
know.
few times.
Yeah, I know. CP3 finished fifth, so I know that probably didn't sit
Yeah,
well with him, like you said. And he always shows up in the playoffs. I mean, he just
right.
does. He always shows up. He's always gotten a bad rap because his teams don't make it very far, but it's never because of how he's playing or what he's doing.
Right. Well, he almost yeah. I mean, he's almost made it. He got hurt the one year. He's just kind of had some unfortunate mishaps in the playoffs as far as injuries go, and just not having the best team. But this year, man, big up to him. I like that team.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I just had somebody text me about the Booker and Joker little situation that happened. That was quite a funny situation. I don't know if you saw it, but they got into it a little bit when Joker took a swipe at Cameron Payne and busted him, and like he
Yeah,
hit him and he shouldn't have got tossed. That's not a flagrant two. Flagrant one is what it is. And just you move on. He just swiped, and he happened to catch the guy across the face a little bit. Cameron Payne went down like he just took a right uppercut from Mike Tyson. Like get
yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, you know how flopping is in the league, man, and that was
Yeah.
a perfect act. But yeah, I don't know. That was out of frustration, obviously, like from Jokic. I don't know. It's a shame you take someone out of the game. Here you are, you're down 0-3, you need a win. He's your MVP. Just kind of weird. I don't know. I don't really like the league for doing that, but it is what it is, man. We know it's soft. It's much softer than it was back in the day.
Definitely much softer. The other thing I don't like about the NBA is I saw it tonight with Booker, and LeBron does it all the time. It's when they catch the ball and they take a full like step and a half before they even take their first dribble. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
they never call it. They never call
No.
it. And Booker did that tonight on a steal. CP3 slapped the ball away from one of their guards, and Booker got it, and he like dribbled it out in front of him and took almost two steps before he even put the ball on the ground. It's just those are the little things, but I mean, it is what it is. What are you gonna do?
It is.
Can't
Yeah.
can't do anything about it.
Yeah. I
Can't write
mean,
a letter to Adam Silver.
they don't call travels. They don't call double dribbles, really. It is what
Yeah,
it is.
the carry they don't call carry. Like Chris Paul did one of those moves tonight where he tried to fake dribble it, and his hand might have been over top of the ball, and if that is, that's fine. But like it's still like they just never call any of that stuff anymore.
Yeah. So I got my kid. He's playing. He's been all interested in hoops lately, practices and watches YouTube all the time on basketball. And he's like, Dad, what's a carry? And I'm like, well, like if you basically your hand gets under the ball there when you're dribbling, and like I'm trying to show him. He's like, yeah, Dad, it looks like LeBron does that all the time. And I'm like, well, kind of everybody does that all the time, like they bring the
Yeah.
ball up like this. Like, I don't know. It's just,
Yeah. I think Iverson started it, like with that Iverson crossover he used to do. He used to
right.
cross over and he'd like hold it under his hand for like a second, pause, and then cross over, and they never would call that. And then so everybody just started doing it, and they're like, all right, we're just not going to call it. So yeah, the game's changed a lot. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it's a little softer. They don't call as much. They want to score. They want to see scoring. They want it to be 140 to 150. They want to see all the offense, no defense. So
Right. Yep. Here we are.
here we are. But yeah, good little opening session there to talk about our situations to talk about our feelings on the NBA right now. But yeah, let's just dive into some of the other matchups right now. We'll go over some of we'll go over some of our predictions that we had in the beginning, and then we'll kind of compare that to where we're at now and just see where we're at. So we'll just go down the list real quick. And the first one here was Philly and Washington in the first round. We'll just go through these quick because we know what happened. So Philly took care of business. We both had Philly there.
Mm-hmm.
New York and Atlanta. I had Atlanta. You had New York, I believe, correct?
Yep.
Okay, Atlanta moved on. So that series now we'll talk about with Philly and Atlanta is 2-1. So we'll talk about that. And then Milwaukee, Miami sweep. I mean, that was a joke of a series. Miami was not even ready this year. I think that shows too that last year in the bubble was a complete fluke. I mean, it was just like a fluky, weird year, and they just made that great run because they didn't even show up this year, and they got basically the same team. So
Yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I still don't know how Miami ever got there last year.
I don't either. I think it was just literally just such a weird year
Yeah, and
because of
the
because
East
of COVID.
really, the East wasn't good. They just
Right.
so I don't know. Miami's just they're well coached. They played hard, so big up to them last year. But
Yeah, for sure. There's some rumors too about Jimmy Butler getting into it with the coaching staff and the ownership. So he's kind of a hothead. They're saying now, and so what are
I
you going to do?
mean,
You
same
star
shit.
players.
Every team he's with, man, he's got like the same issue.
It's always something with him, and that's why he's moved on to what 3 or 4 teams now. So yeah, he had those issues too in Philly. You're right about that. Actually, you're right about that because Chicago, when he was younger, you didn't hear much, but he wasn't that good. And then he got good, and all of a sudden he's just like getting into issues, having issues all the time. And because that Sixers team was stacked with him, they should have been way better
They
with
should have been way
Simmons, him.
better. I think he was just
Yeah,
upset because I mean, one thing about Butler, the dude plays with a lot of heart, man. There's no denying
yeah,
that, And I don't think that Sixers team really had it because if you look at that Sixers team, they're deep. They got a good squad. They just can't get over that hump. So you
yeah,
know,
yeah. And I think what happened too that allowed when he left that allowed Tobias Harris to start playing at the level he's been playing with this year.
yeah, no
So.
doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good
So
move for him.
anyway, yeah. So it worked out for Miami too. I mean, look where it got Miami last year. So
Yep.
and then we move on here with Brooklyn taking care of business against Boston, and then the coaching change and the GM move for Brad Stevens into the front office. I know some people there were some mixed feelings about that.
It just seemed to be like they knew who they wanted to go after. It wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't think that Brad Stevens is going to do a bad job. I mean, I think he'll do a good job in the front office. So,
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
yeah, so I think he'll be fine there. And and again, I'm actually a little surprised that he's getting out of coaching. I mean, he was a year ago, the best coach in the NBA. They said so. Kind of a weird change there, I guess. I was kind of surprised by that. It might have been his only option, to be honest. They might have said, "Look, we're just going to get rid of you or move to the front office." But again, if they fire him, another NBA team would have picked him up and,
Plenty.
as the head coach.
There's no doubt about it. Maybe that was the move he wanted. Who knows? Yeah, you're right.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. It could have been, and you're right too about that. It could have been what he wanted to do, and they just sat down. Danny
Yep.
Ainge wanted out, and they just moved on with that. So anyway, Brooklyn won that series 4-1. Boston did did win one, and I think we both actually predicted that we said Boston would steal a win. But anyway, move on here. Utah got through Memphis pretty easy. 4-1 there. As soon as Utah got Donovan Mitchell back, they've been they've been playing really well since. And then this series, we definitely got to talk about is the Mavs and the Clippers series was big. I mean, that was a pretty good series. Dallas goes up 2-0, end up losing the series in seven. So you had LA, I had Dallas, and it was looking good at first, and then they
It
just
was. It
they
was.
it was such a weird series. Each team was winning on the road too. It was a real weird series.
Yeah, LA, the Clippers, they still can't. I mean, even in this next series, they haven't won. I mean, they're 0-2 at home so far in that series, and it's just nuts to me. Like, I don't get that team at all. And I don't get
Yeah,
how, you got two really good on the ball
they
defenders.
they did pick up a win earlier, so it's 2-1 now.
Right. That was away, though. They won that game, right?
Oh, I got you. I got you. I got
Yeah,
you.
I'm
Yep.
just saying
Yep.
at home. So,
Got
yeah.
you. Got you.
And they just, I don't know, man. They're just letting these guys eat. They're letting these guys eat, man, and I just don't get it. I don't get why they can't just play better defense, and they're letting these guys go for 40, 50. It's crazy, dude. Luka just had an unbelievable series. He fell off like the last game, but he was a man amongst boys, man. You and I were texting back and forth, like, dude, Luka's better than these two. Like, he just
Yeah.
good. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was a
Yeah.
weird series. You're right.
Yeah. I text you and I text one of my other friends and I said Luka over Kawhi. I said Luka's the best player in that series. I really believe that. And I still think that now. I would still take Luka over Kawhi right now. I mean,
Yeah.
he's just better player to me. He just does more, impacts your team more. But anyway, the LA was able to steal. LA was able to squeak through there, and they're down 2-1 now to Utah, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But and then the next series was another good series, was the Denver Portland series. It went to 7, and Denver pulled that out. I
Mhm.
think I had Denver, you had Portland there, but that could have went either way.
Yep.
That was one of those series that was back and forth. And then, Phoenix over the Lakers was probably our biggest bust pick because we both had the Lakers going to the finals. And I still think to myself personally, even though that Lakers team was not even close to what they were last year, if AD didn't get hurt, I still think they would have had a good chance at that series. We'll never know, but I still think if
Right.
AD wouldn't have got hurt, that messed everything up. LeBron's head just got out of it. He kind of just said, "I'm not going to be able to do this without him."
Yeah,
And
he just looked a step too old, man. That's what he looked like.
he's finally
AD
hit
being
it.
hurt.
He's finally hit that wall.
Yeah, it's hit. And I even mentioned y'all want to talk about that a little bit with KD. Like I could admit to myself and everybody else, like, I think KD's the best player in the NBA right now. I think LeBron might not even be in the top 4 or 5 after what I see in the playoffs. Like, I think he's just got to move towards more of just like a straight point guard role next year. Um, I don't know, man. I mean, he's always going to be able to. He'll be able to get you 20, 25. But yeah, he just fell off a little bit. He just looks old, and some of that might be the injury. We'll see next year, but
Yeah, I think a little bit of it was injury. And then I also think that his age, but he's also played so many games since he was, 18, 19 years old. You know what I mean? He's just played so many games that the injury bug finally got him this year. He's never had to deal with injuries. Now he's hitting that age. It's like sometimes when these guys, and not to compare sports, but like Peyton Manning was great that one year, and then all of a sudden he just hit that wall hard, and you saw the decline, and LeBron might have hit that wall. So we'll see, like you said, if he bounces back from injury. But what I saw from him was he's not ready. Dame Lillard wants to go play with him, so I mean that's
yeah, there's a couple dudes. I could see Kawhi going out there too, man. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with that Clippers team if they lose the series. Like, I just feel like that might get blown up a little bit. That's
I
be
agree
weird
with
to see.
that.
Yeah, so I mean, it's going to be interesting off season if some of these things happen. I think Dame's going to stay. I really do, but it's one of those things where it's getting talked about. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think something is going to happen with the Blazers. They fired Scott's their coach, who he was due to get fired. He makes it to the same point every year. I mean, it's just the same, same,
Yeah.
same. He never is getting over. They have never gotten over that hump. So, and if they win the series this year, it's a different story. But again, they lose there. And anyway, Phoenix, yeah, Phoenix takes care of business in 6, and so we move right on to the second round here. And we got our 8 teams left. And right now we got Philly and Atlanta 2-1, Milwaukee, Brooklyn 2-2, Utah, LA 2-1, and then we'll be having Phoenix in the next round to face the winner of Utah and the Clippers. So
Yeah.
yeah, some big games left here. So let's talk about the Philly Atlanta series here. Philly's up 2-1, and they got another game in Atlanta coming up tomorrow. Who you like? Who you like tomorrow, and then who you like in that series the rest of the way?
Uh, Man, I think I got Philly. I obviously have Philly. I'm just trying to think if Atlanta can win another game. Um, I think most of that just depends on Joel Embiid. Like he tore his meniscus there in his right knee. He's got like a partial tear there, so that kind of worries me still. I was actually surprised that he was able to go, and he's been a monster. Clearly the best player in that series by a large margin, and probably one of the top 3 or 4 players in the NBA.
Yeah.
I maybe Atlanta gets one more. I don't. If I had to bet, I would say that Philly just takes the rest. It's just a lot. I think that Philly team they're well run this year. They have depth and they're battle tested. They've been here before. That's just yeah. I would say Philly just wins out from here on. Like, this is just a gentleman's sweep.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think they'll win the next one in Atlanta and then take care of business on their home floor in Game 5, and they move on. Atlanta. I like Atlanta's balance, how they play. They don't really have a lot of great players, other than Trey Young, but they have some good balance. Like Clint Capella is a good piece. They
Hmm.
got some shooters, so they're fine. But I think Philly's just too good, and like you said, it will depend on Embiid. And speaking on Embiid, I'm actually really surprised over his career how healthy he stayed. Having that first year, being so injury prone coming out, and that was the big knock on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
he was obviously the highest ranked prospect in that draft, and he got bumped down, a handful of spots because they just weren't sure what he was going to end up with. And like it seemed like up until maybe this season, dude only played like half the team's games. Like it just seems like he just doesn't play as many games as a lot of the other players. He's constantly taking days off, so I think that helps.
yeah,
And I don't mind. I don't blame Philly for doing that because he's a big dude. He's had those foot issues, and now it is what it is. But I mean, what am I, dude? He's averaging 40 points, 11 rebounds in this series, and that's on a messed up meniscus. So the one thing that just worried me about Philly, though, man, is I think their bench is a strength, but their bench has not been good in this series. A little concerned about that, but hopefully
yeah,
they can step up. I mean, I don't know. I'm rooting for them. That's the team that I want to win the East. I just kind of hate the Nets at this point. So when I say
yeah,
hopefully, that's what I'm referencing my passion for the 76ers winning.
yeah, yeah. Cha-ching. Yes. So no, I agree with you. I like Philly's team. I think they got a good roster. Their top 3 guys are real tough with Tobias Harris, Simmons, and Embiid. So we'll see what happens there. And I think they take care of the I think they take care of the Hawks here next couple games. And then we move on here. This is probably the best. This is definitely the best series in the East left, and maybe the best series overall right now. It's the Bucks and the Nets. It went 2-2 recently, and then Kyrie Irving gets injured. They're still not sure about James Harden. His hamstring is still bothering him, and we've talked about hamstrings on KP and AC Media before. Hamstring injuries are nothing to play with. You just never know. You could be out a game, or you could be out a season. It's the hardest injury to deal with in sports, in my opinion. So you don't know when he's coming back with Harden, and then Kyrie, lands on his ankle weird. So they don't know what's going on with him, and Nash is optimistic, but they don't really know right now.
Yeah.
So given all that, it's completely unknown. Who you got? Bucks or the Nets? 2-2 series.
Well, the unknown part's the crazy shit, man. Because
Hey,
that Irving ankle twist, it looked bad. Like he came down. I mean, his whole
yeah,
leg was like, it looked like it could have been real bad. So, and I hope he's all right. But that was one of the things. Like when I picked Philly early on, when we first did this a few weeks ago, just because I didn't trust Brooklyn to stay healthy. So now we have Harden hurt, we have Irving hurt. And hopefully Kevin Durant can stay healthy. I mean, honestly, I'm not looking for anybody to get injured, but I got, assuming Irving's gonna play, then I'm gonna take the Nets. I think it could definitely go 7. If Irving doesn't play, then I would obviously not go Nets here. I'd have to stick with Milwaukee, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Nets. I'm gonna say that Irving comes back, and the duo of Durant and Irving, it's just too much. Those guys score at will. They both create their own shots so well. And on the other side, like I really like Middleton. Like he's showing up. I don't really. The more I watch Giannis in the playoffs, like the less I respect this dude's game. Like he's obviously a great like in season player, and he's a great player, but he's almost like not a number one. You know what I mean? Like he almost needs like a reliable like point guard, or they're missing something there. So like a Chris Paul, for example, on that team would
yeah,
have that team in the NBA Finals and winning.
yeah. That's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's just where I'm at with that team. I don't know,
yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
that's a good point because you have Eric Bledsoe there last year, and then they got Drew Holiday this year, who I think Holiday is a little bit of an upgrade, but they're a very similar player. And like you said, they're not setting anybody up. They're getting their points. They're playing a little bit of D, but they're not taking that team over the top. Like Chris Paul is literally taking the Suns way over the top.
yeah,
He was the
he would
perfect piece for them.
yeah, he would set up this team the same way. And the Greek freak, he can't shoot. I mean, he can't shoot. Yeah,
Oh yeah, he was like 1 for 9 from three the last game, and they're just, Blake Griffin was guarding him a lot of the time I saw, and he would just back all the way off of him and just
yeah.
let him do whatever he wanted. And yeah, no, I would let that guy shoot. I would literally back off and just let him shoot anytime he wanted, and just play the
Yep.
game like that the entire game.
Yep.
So yeah, so they're in some trouble, I think, against the Nets, just because I think the Nets are going to be real hungry now. They know that it's 2-2. I think they know it's crunch time. If they go down 3-2, it's going to be, they're going to be in trouble. Durant's definitely going to show up next game. He always does. And
Mm-hmm.
then I think whether it's Kyrie or Harden, I think at least one of them will play. And I think just one of them is enough with
Right.
Durant to beat the Bucks. So, and
Right.
honestly, I'm gonna be, well. We'll get into that. We'll get into our finals picks here in a minute. But that's where I think I'm at right now. I think they probably will go 7 though. I mean, it's 2-2. I think
Yep.
it could go 7. So, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what
Right.
happens. And then Brooklyn will have the home court. So Game 7 will be in Brooklyn. So that'll be the difference maker, I think. So.
Right.
And then we got, moving on here, we got Utah and the Clippers 2-1. This is another interesting series here. And so I'll just go ahead and say I still think Utah is going to pull this series off, but I think the Clippers will win the next game at home. So I think they'll make it 2-2, but I think Utah will find a way to win in 7. I think they'll win in 7. But I think it's going to be a good series. I think it'll be a good series. What you thinking?
Man, I don't know what to make of this Clippers team. They're just
You
it's just so
can't, dude. It's so
it's
hard.
just so weird to me. I don't get them. They should beat the Jazz. I'm just gonna like flip the script here. I think the Jazz win this series. I think the Jazz win the next game. I just
Yeah,
like
taking
the
3-1 leads huge.
Yeah, I just like this Jazz team, man. I do. Um, George, I don't know. George and Leonard, they're just something's weird there. Like they're both
Well,
great
Paul George
players.
doesn't like the playoffs. He's really allergic to the
I
playoffs.
know,
There's
I know
some.
he is. I know he is. And even Leonard's been inconsistent during these playoffs, although he's had some monster games, and especially that last series. So no hate on him, man. He's doing his thing. They're just overrated. That's how I feel about it. I think this team loses this series, and like I said, man, I could see like a breakup here. I could see one of those two leaving or getting kicked out or traded. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't trust the Clippers.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Ty Lue fan, but I will say that I got to give him credit for some of his moves he's made in the playoffs. So he benched Patrick Beverly in that first series and started playing Reggie Jackson a lot more and Rondo, and it worked. They were able to beat the Mavs. So and he's kind of stuck with that. And the other day, he was playing, he's just playing Reggie Jackson more. That's all I was going to say. And, Patrick Beverly's not playing as much. And he's a defensive guy. But, I talk about it with one of my other friends all the time. It's like, who cares? Nobody cares about defense anymore. Even if you play decent defense, you're not stopping anybody. So, it's that give or take. What do you want more of? And Reggie Jackson's a good offensive player, way better offensive player than Patrick Beverly. So you're going to play him, and I like I like Rondo getting in there, and I think too. I meant to mention this earlier with the Lakers. I think losing Rondo was huge for the Lakers. He was a big piece for them last year.
Yeah,
So
yeah, he was definitely one of those big pieces.
yeah.
They
So
lost
anyway.
several.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they didn't have any shooters. I mean, they showed the stats of the percentages of their shooters. Awful. I mean, just
Oh,
straight doo. Like it's just they needed some shooters and they didn't get them.
they didn't
So
have no one. Nope.
no, but yeah, I like Utah a lot. I like Utah a lot. So that takes us to we picked our winners of those rounds. So I think we both have Philly, we both have Brooklyn, we both have Utah, and then Phoenix. So that takes us to 4 left. I'll ask you: do you want to do the predictions now of those 4, or do you want to wait?
Um, Man, I think we can let's just throw a little something out there,
We got
because
to throw a little teaser
yeah,
out there. You know what I mean?
yeah, because both of our finals picks have to change.
All right. Who you got in the finals? Give me your two. Give me your two. And then we'll talk about the series. But give me your two right now.
Lordy.
On the spot. They
All
don't
right,
know.
dude.
No prep.
I'm gonna go with the Jazz. I'm gonna say
Okay.
the Jazz get there, and God, I got to see what's going on with Kyrie, dude. Because obviously, if one of those two are healthy and Durant stays healthy, like the Nets are gonna win. Um, I picked Philly, so I'm just gonna stick with them.
Okay.
We'll see what happens, but yeah,
Okay.
that Nets team, it's really more about health, and it always has been about that. Like
Yeah.
everybody knows, like if that team's healthy, like they're just unstoppable. So that's where I'm at with it. But I'd say Jazz and whoever comes out of this Jazz Clippers, I think's going to get there. I don't trust the Suns to beat. I don't know. Maybe the Suns could beat the Clippers. I'm not sure about
Hey,
the
the
Jazz.
Suns are hot. The
The Suns
Suns
are
are
hot.
hot.
The
Yeah,
Suns
the
are
Suns
hot.
are hot.
I
I
just
did not think we didn't talk about it much, but I did not think that they would sweep the Nuggets like this and just make it this easy. I mean, 4 in a row like it was nothing.
yeah, they are hot. I think they got a lot of confidence after beating the Lakers. So yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's
Yeah.
where I'm going to go, and we'll work on that. After this series is
Yep.
over and come back, and I'll probably change the Nets assuming they win. But yeah,
I'm with you, man. I like Utah. I definitely like Utah to come out of the West. I like them to beat Phoenix, but I think that'll be a great series. I really do. I think that'll
mhm.
be a really good series. And then I like the Nets. Again, if injuries happen, then I might have to change my mind. But right now, I like the Nets to get there, and I still like the Nets to win it all. And they just I watched them play a few times now, and it's just mostly about throwing it to either Kyrie, KD, or Harden, and everybody else get out of the way, and one of
Yeah.
them 3 are gonna score. It's just they just find the mismatch, and sometimes it doesn't even matter because those three are, what is it? They're three of the top 5 to 10 isolation players in the league, all on one team. So, and
Man,
that's their offense. It's just just
it might
ISO.
it might be 3-3. I mean, who's better creating their own shots? Like you'd say Kyrie is the worst of the three, but he has the best dribbles in maybe NBA history. So like this dude gets to the hole, he can shoot, he's clutch.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, so they're going to be tough to beat if they could get, like I said, even just like you were saying, one of those two healthy is all the difference they need. They don't even need both of them, I don't think, to win it all. They just need one of them.
Yeah.
And I still think they could get. I still think there's a couple teams that'll give them some trouble. If there's only two of them, but if they get all three of them back healthy, it's not. I mean, it's not even a. I don't even think it's a story, really.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that Sixers, assuming the Sixers and Nets play, because that Embiid's a huge mismatch there, and I'm not really sure who they have for him, so that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, they don't have anybody, and think about it. They had Clint. The Nets have Clint Capella, and the guy's averaging 40. So it's
right,
you know
yeah, and also Simmons, it's obviously a really good on the ball defender, so he maybe could take the hot hand. It'll be a good matchup. That'll be a good matchup.
yeah, that'll be a good one. That'll be a good one. And then let's see here. So we're just waiting on that winner to see who faces Phoenix. Yeah. So it'll be a real interesting series. So what do you think happens? Let's just switch topics here real quick while we talk NBA. Let's talk. What did you think about the Mayweather Logan Paul fight? By the way, just while it's still hot, because if we wait another week, 2 weeks, it's gonna be nobody's gonna talk about it anymore. What do you think?
I mean, it was what it was. It was a sparring match for Mayweather. I went and seen it at a bar uh, up the street, and well, really nobody had it around here. I had to go up to Green Town Tavern. It's a cool bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I just that was that. We kind of knew it was a joke. You know what I mean? And that's really what it was. And Floyd. I don't know how much he was trying or what it was, but I mean, he basically just told everybody beforehand, I'm going out there to have fun and spar, and I'm going to make, $100 million. And for Paul, it's a big thing, and I'm kind of just waiting. I just want one of these or both of them to get knocked out. You know what I mean? So like we kind of just like move on because it's almost
Yeah.
like, like boxing's kind of, I don't know. I don't know what it was, man. Maybe it was COVID, but it just got weird. Things got so weird, and we're just at a weird spot with boxing now, and it's weird. Someone needs to come out, like there's obviously some good boxers, but there's nothing like Floyd in his prime or Tyson in his prime. There's nothing to keep us interested. So we're interested in a YouTuber fighting, and it's a lot.
I think that's the problem. Exactly why we get interested in these two brothers is because there isn't anybody else. There's nobody else to even watch, and they're honestly keeping the sport relevant. Jake Paul's a psychopath. I mean, that guy's just crazy. And
Well,
then Logan is, and I think Jake's better than Logan is anyway, really. But again, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It was a joke, and it was one of those things where it was like, all right, I'll watch it, but it's going to be a joke. You know what I mean? And exactly what it was.
it was cool to watch the size difference. That was cool because Floyd literally looked like a little person out there, and Paul was a monster. But I don't know. What are you gonna do? Watch it.
Yeah,
Just keep watching. I didn't pay
yeah,
for it. I wouldn't pay for it, but if I
yeah. I
watch it
think
for free,
I think one of them. I think one of them are gonna. I think eventually they'll end up fighting each other at some point because it'll be just such a big payday for both of them.
that'll
I
be
think
cool.
that they're just. Yeah, I think they'll fight each other at some point. I don't know when. I think they'll go through this little phase that they're riding it high right now because people want to fight them because they're getting paid, and I think Jake Paul fights. Who's he fighting? Did you see who he's fighting now? He's
Wasn't
fighting.
it a was it a boxer or a mixed martial arts guy?
No, it's an MMA guy.
Yeah.
Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley, who's pretty good in UFC, but again, he just Jake Paul and Logan, they both do this thing where they just don't fight. Well, Logan just fought Mayweather, but Jake Paul does this thing where he just doesn't fight real fighters,
Real
and he just
boxers.
knocks people out. Real boxers,
Real
right?
boxers.
He'll fight guys that never put on gloves. He'll fight like the MMA guy that he beat up, Ben Askren. I mean, he knocked him out in the first round, but that guy's never even boxed before. He's like a wrestler. He knocked out Nate Robinson, who came at him. He's a basketball player throwing haymakers the whole fight.
Right,
So.
right, yeah. It's just weird, and that's what it's come to. And the sport's almost like there's just some new, famous person wants to fight the Paul brothers. I seen the game was talking shit on Twitter. It's pretty funny.
The game was
the game, yeah. He said something.
What'd he say?
I can't remember word for word, but he said something about having Paul and his brother kind of meet them out. And I don't know, it's in Chicago or some shit, and like just fighting in the street. Just wanted to fight in the street. And one of the Paul brothers wrote back, "Hate it or love it, you get knocked the fuck out." And I just thought it was really funny. They're creative, man. They're funny.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be interesting to see, because speaking of that, and it's just something else funny, and it's fun to talk about, is like 50 Cent always wanted to fight, or didn't always want to fight. They asked 50 Cent if he could beat up Conor McGregor, and he was like, yeah, like the guy's 140 pounds, But it's like, have you seen Conor McGregor in a cage? Like, that guy is a warrior, Like, it's a trained fighter, but it's funny because it does have you thinking, like, 50 Cent is like probably 220, 225, maybe more of solid muscle. Like, if he just grabs a hold of Conor McGregor's 150 pounds, what's he going to do? So it'd be funny to see something like that. Like somebody like The Game, who probably can fight, does run into like Jake Paul in the street, and they have a street fight. I mean, who you got? I'll ask you right now, who you got, The Game or Jake Paul?
I would have Jake Paul, because Jake Paul I know he can box. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I mean, I know The Game's probably. I'm sure he's dabbled in boxing, but this guy's going on at it for a couple years. So then as far as
That's true.
50
I was just
Cent
gonna say, I don't know who I'd take. I don't know who I'd take between them.
50 Cent would get wrecked. He would get wrecked.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor, just no way.
Yeah, I think Conor McGregor's too good to even let 50 get a hold of him. I just think he's just like too quick.
It wouldn't happen. And these guys, they all know, these tap out moves. And dude, 50, I mean, this is not happening. He's too slow.
Yeah, I would like to see The Game versus Jake Paul. That is, you just put something in my head that I would like to see now in a street fight, though. No boxing, because Jake Paul would beat him in boxing. Like, I think Jake Paul would beat a lot of people in boxing. That's what I mean. I don't like, if I saw them in a street about the fight, I don't know who I would pick. I really don't, because how many times have we even seen Jake Paul take like a hard shot from somebody?
Right. Well, I mean, they're either not fighting talented boxers, or they're not fighting guys their own size. So
right.
When that finally happens, like, there's going to be a loss there, but just weird.
It's interesting. See, it's like, as stupid as it is, it's kind of cool to talk about. It's just
it's like MTV Deathmatch, bro. Remember that when they were fighting? Yeah. Like Marilyn Manson was fighting, it's just like all these puppets, and that's what it is, dude. Just famous people coming out of nowhere, like they're just fighting each other.
Yeah, and people will watch that too. People will jump onto that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, yeah, 50 Cent. I just know. And I remember I saw an interview too, now that we're on the topic, with Conor McGregor. They asked him who he would like to fight more than anybody, and he said 50 Cent. He's like, 50 Cent. Like, he answered it like right away. Like, I want to fight 50 Cent.
Yeah, talking shit.
And it's like, if 50 really wanted to do it, he probably could. I mean, they probably could get in the ring and duke it out. But no, it's a fun topic to talk about, though, for sure. Yeah. So we'll have some more NBA stuff coming up here. We'll let all these series end. So we'll get down to our 4, and then we'll talk about some more NBA, and we'll go from there. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, man. Well, it's just nothing really else going on.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I had to say something about the Mayweather Logan Paul, because there's just nothing else going on. And I feel like this time of year too is like it is one of those times where I'm more bored with life in general because of no football and no college basketball, which I'm in that space anyway. So it's like we have kind of our slow time now, and then no football just eats at me, and I know you too. I
Yeah.
know you too. It's just like you just got to have that football. It just helps out so much with the mind and always gives you something to do with fantasy and the Browns. Always something to talk about when football season's around.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will. But yeah, so basketball, it just did.
Oh yeah,
We'll see who comes out of these series, and we'll get back on it for the semifinals.
yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, good stuff. We'll bring back some hot fire. All right, man. We'll talk.
Later, man.
Good stuff, man. See ya.
It's KP&AC, our takes is like crazy. Hot takes on the daily, we might take your lady. This flow goes bananas, bananas got boatloads. Big time, we go. Hard like this promo. Karate kick, I'm Jet Li. One hand on that jet ski. Ice cold like Pepsi, you damn right we sexy. Opinions with no pity, in our bag with so many. Smart and so witty, got the swag of the city. Sports talk that talk. Best check your wall clock. We on time, every time. Got it all like Walmart. Aw shit, we might blow. Don't you know it's time to go? KP&AC, welcome to our show.